Welcome to IBM Bluemix Cloud Certification Series. Today we are going to look at the demo aspect of how to monitor applications in Bluemix. So as we talked in our presentation, the four options that are available to monitor applications in Bluemix. Option 1 talks about looking at the logs using the command line tool, which you're looking at right now. So here are the commands that were shown in option 1. CF logs, apps, recent. So I'm going to copy and go to the command line tool to show how you can execute the same command. CF logs. So that counts. You can see there is an app called Ecody CNC Cloud, and so I'm going to go and check the logs, recent logs of that. So the command for that is to CF logs app name -recent. The app name is Ecody CNC -cloud and space recent. So it's going into IBM Bluemix runtime, and it's capturing all the logs that are there. That have been created for that application recently. You can look at the logs there. Similarly, there is a command called CF logs app name that picks up. It's like a tail, so it will keep on going until someone stops it. So if you're clicking on it, you can see the logs will be going on as the application gets processed. So it's a tail of the logs if you are looking at a web server or app server concept of it and browsing and monitoring any logs. So this is another way of monitoring the logs for your application. One is just going through the plain logs, which will give you the tail and it gets updated. As I'm not doing any action here, you're not seeing any pull update. So CF logs app name recent gives you the recent logs from past time, specific time frame. So other than this, there are a couple of things that are specified in this in the options for monitoring. So if you're going and looking at the IBM Liberty runtime, you can go and look at the logs and switch on the trace for your application. I'm going to go through the IBM. This is the Bluemix application. In this, I'm going to click on the Liberty runtime. You can see there is a place where you can switch on the trace for this application instance. This is another way of switching on the trace by selecting the instance and switch on the trace. It will give you it'll ask you what type of trace you want to set and the level of trace you want to set. So I'm just setting an info, or you can set the debug, or you can set it to error. Either way, you can set it actually. So these are the things that can be used for monitoring your Java application or your Node.js application, and you can switch on the trace from the Bluemix console too. There's an option 2 where you can also monitor your logs, not only by going into the log name, but also by looking at the Bluemix catalog, and I'll explain you what the other types are here. So going back to the runtime where your application is just logged, you can go to Files and Logs. There is a specific place where you can click on the application files and logs. You can see I'm on the application Ecody Cloud, and you can click on files and logs, and you can see the request for the HTTP access, and you can see there are lots of posts there are a couple of posts that are run yesterday or last night. You can also look at the data that has been passed. So if you're looking at one of these, you can see what is the data that has been passed through this virtual machine and the data that has been collected. Coming back to the staging task, this is the deployment log when an application is trying to get deployed. This is another piece of the logging mechanism that used to look at for the errors when a deployment is in process or in progress. So as we clicked on the trace data, you can also see the trace data here, as we don't have any trace that has been run, as there is no data that has been flowing through the application. You're seeing the file as empty at this point. if you're having some data that is being processed through the Java application or runtime, you'll see the trace being triggered, and you can see all these services. All the services that are running through this app. So now the second piece of it is to create you can also configure monitoring and analytics service to this, but I'm going to go and the logs that you saw right now are similar to the logs that you saw on the command line which we just did. The only difference is one is the graph GUI view of it, and the other one is the command line view of it. You can also use the logs that are persisted in the logging services as soon as the application restarts. And as I showed you in our previous Bluemix screen. So similarly, there is the third option. If you go and look at it, it talks about viewing the performance metrics using IBM Bluemix monitoring service. So let's see how we can view this for an application. So to do that, I'm going to just select create an application that's here, and which basically is Liberty Runtime, a data cache service, and monitoring, which pre-configures all these three services as a part of the boilerplate. So I'm going to pick EcoD monitoring demo. So I'm just going to pick a data cache and monitoring analytics service. What happens is, as soon as I click create, there's an instance of data cache service that's being spun on Liberty Runtime instance that's been created, and a monitoring and analytics service will be added to that runtime. There will be an agent installed on that to review all the metrics that are running on the runtime. Now, as you see, the app is running right now, and I'm going to go back and click on this application. This application has been created, and this is a sample app that is using the data cache service. So to test this, I'm going to just say EcoD monitor 1 test 1, and I'm going to put it into the data cache of this put it in the data cache service that is tied to this application. So I'm going to do 2 values here and do the same thing, and then just do a put again. I'm going to put multiple values. So what this is doing right now is just using the application and using the data cache service in that application. We didn't even go through the monitoring and analytics service here. So to do that, I'm going to go and click on the runtime of the service, and you can see how these services would be configured. So this is the application as you can look at it, and you can see there is a data cache and a monitoring and analytics service. And once you click on the environment variables here, you are going to see the monitoring analytics service URLs and usernames that you can use that are available, that are pre-configured for you for that application. So once you click on this monitoring and analytics service here, which is on the left-hand side of the corner, so you're going to see, so here it shows the application availability and the times the application is running and what is the average response time. So the key piece here for this service is to look at the performance monitoring aspect of it, the CPU usage for the app, the average thread pool for this app. There is also a heap usage that gets captured as part of this monitoring the performance. Similarly, you can go and click on the log analysis of the service, and that gives you an idea of what logs have been created, and it will give you a view of all the log information. So similarly, the log analysis gives you a picture of how for all the logs that have been running on the runtime, that have been executed on the runtime. And the fourth option is the performance metrics using the auto-scaling service. The same thing has been showed in the auto-scaling lab, which is in section 3.2. Now I'm going to go to the option 5. You can do the similar type of log viewing and monitoring, where you have all the monitoring abilities using the IBM DevOps services, the Bluemix DevOps services. So to do that, you can just go and look at the DevOps services section of the certification, which is section 4, I think. And the last option probably also, which we don't recommend, basically you can also go to Liberty in Bluemix and configure a JConsole using JMX, and you can use that option if none of these options are provide much information for you. So with this, I conclude the presentation or demo for monitoring and analytics service in Bluemix.